All right, so we'll count it. But for the most part, it's the young guns. It's Yabusele out there, Oubre, it's Maxi, and like I'm watching this game last night and I'm coming away going, all right, boys, like let's go. Now, does that mean that this team is going to get into the playoffs without Paul George and Joel Embiid and make a damn difference? No. No, no, no. I'm not here to sing that. So like that's where the rub comes in. So, like, as I sit here right now, let me ask you what your message is to Sixers fans on January 30th. For somebody like me who's been pessimistic beyond belief, just blow it up, get rid of Paul George. You're not going to be able to move Embiid, so it is what it is. Almost to the point that, like, I realize if he can come back and play, that's a great thing. But to the point that I'm like even saying to myself, sit Embiid down for the rest of the season, give him the year off. Maybe it might be the best thing for him, his body, so on and so forth. Not a doctor, but I'll play one here on the podcast. And I'm just asking, like, what would be your message right here, right now? Because even if I want to believe, I still like have that in the back of my mind, like Joel Embiid's not going to stay healthy. Jimmy Butler, he's got his or not Jimmy Butler, sorry. Paul George has his moments, but like, the pinky, we're missing games for a pinky. And I know it was a bad injury. Still, does he have that dog in him? Is he able to stay healthy? So I almost feel like here's the rake. Poof, I'm going to step on it. It's going to smack me right in the face again. What's your message to Sixers fans right now?
Yeah, so for starters, to stick up for Paul George a little bit, it seems like it's a ligament issue in the pinky that makes it hard to make a fist, which I guess does change my perspective slightly on it. That it did to me when I saw it live look like a jam finger, and it's kind of one of those like, come on, man, if you're struggling to make a fist out of it, I can kind of hear the case a little bit more, and that like obviously does impact the way you dribble, the way you hold a basketball, all those type of things there. So we'll see how soon he's be back. It wouldn't surprise me if this is like a week or two or potentially even longer that he remains out. I'm more optimistic of Joel coming back, but as far as my message overall for the Sixers team, to me, for the first time all season, we're seeing them play with a desperation. That I love the quote from Kelly Oubre following that Lakers win, that basically asking what changed in the Sixers team. Like, what it does feel like there has been an attitude shift. And he basically said, we're sick of getting beat. Like, we're sick of getting our butts kicked, and we're turning things around. And that is the story of the season, that all these issues, yes, injuries headline things, but for the wider scale, they've been internal things. This team has played sloppy basketball. They haven't competed hard enough, and it has been different over this last 4 games. I get that's an incredibly small stretch, but I give Nick Nurse a lot of credit. I was pretty hard on him at the start of the season. He directly called out this team after that Nuggets game, which by my money's worth was probably the most embarrassing loss of the season. The other one, the Pelicans loss, you have a case for that as well. But as far as just not showing up and look like they did not care whatsoever, that Nuggets game was the peak for me. And following that game, both in the locker room, we got reports of reporters overhearing him basically cursing out the entire team. And then Nurse steps to the podium and says those direct same things, saying the effort was unacceptable. We looked like we didn't want to be there today. There's going to be games where that happens in the NBA, but it is unacceptable for that to be the case based on where we stand in the standings there. And since that point, the team has responded, that I have seen a hunger from them, that these guys are playing hard. They are playing connected, and you're not going to reach your peak until you get all these pieces together, get Joel on the floor, get Paul George on the floor. But it does feel like there's been a bit of an attitude shift, and the team's responding to Nick Nurse directly challenging them, which I will view as optimistic there.
All right. Yeah, look, 7 straight losses, and that last one against Denver was, the one that the straw that broke the camel's back, I guess you could say. It was a disaster and embarrassing to be a Sixers fan, and I'm sure to be on that bench, be associated with the franchise, and be the head coach of that team, putting that effort out. So maybe that was the change that the Sixers needed at that point in time. But let's just be realistic, too, about their opponents. And I know Sacramento is a decent team. Lakers were coming off.
They beat Cleveland at the start of this.
Did beat Cleveland. You're right about that. Bulls. I was working backwards, so I didn't get to Cleveland. Sorry. So they deserve respect there. You're right. So that's where I'm at right now. It's like, okay, where are we at as far as formula? If you were to go ahead and tell me the ingredients, like the success that this team is having right now, will this be a continuing trend in your mind? Regardless if Embiid comes back, regardless if Paul George comes back, which I'm sure Paul George, what is the latest with him with that done? When do we expect him back?
They haven't laid out a timeline. He was out there shooting before the game yesterday. There was another wrap on the pinky and things like that. So I'm curious. I mean, again, we know it's like trying to get an injury report from the Sixers team or a direct answer on any of these things. Andre Drummond, I mean, hasn't played in like 13 games, and all we've gotten is injury management here, which like what are we even doing for a backup center? But the point being with Paul George specifically, I think it's probably like a week or two, and then he's back out there full strength. Again, I have a little bit more sympathy with kind of the ligament knowledge and that is an issue there. You need these guys out there. There's no way around it. But as far as like this team as a whole, they can beat anyone on any given night. And I think we're also seeing some of the vulnerabilities across the league. Cleveland showing some signs of slipping of late. The Celtics have not looked as dominant of late. Jaylen Brown having some struggles there. Each team's got weaknesses, and this Sixers team is still kind of scrapping out and finding a way. So it hasn't been perfect, but I'm not ready to. This ship isn't sinking the way that it kind of felt like a couple weeks ago.
The Sixers making the playoffs.
They
are
1
through 6. 1 through 6.
1 through 6. So to kind of lay it out,
the play-in is not the playoffs. That's not the playoffs. The playoffs is 1 through 6.
So for my TikTok bet, for the clarification here, if they get out of the play-in and into the playoffs, I still cash that. I'm not ripping any.
Yes, that counts. You're right. 100%.
Yeah.
Yep.
But as far as them actually cracking a top 6 seed, I don't think the chances are 0. I mean, they're 4 games out of that 6 seed right now. The Magic currently hold that. They're 24-24 on the year. Sixers in 19-27. So obviously some ground to make up there. They're exactly tied with the Bulls, who currently hold that 10 seed. Bulls have played a couple more games than the Sixers, so they're below them in the standings, but tied for that last 10 seed there. And then 4 more games, and we're talking about being into the actual playoffs. So it's all on this team to continue picking up and fighting, but the pathway is absolutely there.
Yeah, of course. I look at it. The Heat, they're a disaster. The Pistons are playing poor basketball at this point in time. They should be better. The Hawks,
Jalen Johnson just got hurt.
Yeah, you're right about that. Bulls, they beat them. They're 20-28. Then you go Sixers, and then it's just the rest of the league. So the Sixers should be better. I totally agree with you. But just something is not connecting this year with this franchise. Now, was that a first half deal? Get to the All-Star break, get everybody back. All of a sudden, But see, this is the issue, and I'm not going to bite into this. I'm not going to allow myself to take a bite of that apple, a piece of the cookie out of the cookie jar, whatever you want to say. I'm not going to do it because Joel Embiid's going to come back, and it's just going to change everything. And when it does, he's not going to remain healthy, and the team's going to be like, oh, he's back. And it just changes the mentality of this franchise, top to bottom, the players on the floor, and we're going to be doing it all over again. That is just one man's take. I totally allow anybody and everybody to dance on my grave. If I'm wrong, good. I hope I'm wrong. I haven't been wrong quite just yet. They lost 7 in a row. They just won 4 straight. Great. I'm happy. It's fun. It's entertaining. I could tune in and watch the damn game and not be mad at every word that comes out of Kate Scott's mouth. Understood. But I have to be realistic. And if not a part of sticking to my guns, it's just what was hitting me in November. It's still hitting me right now on January 30th.
Will it change your mind when tomorrow Joel Embiid steps out there and gives Nikola Jokic 40? Because I think that happens.
Dude, he's not playing against the Joker tomorrow. No way.
You want to put a Gatorade bet on that one, Sean?
Gatorade bet. Yep, absolutely. Gatorade bet that he is not playing tomorrow versus Joker at home, correct? That's a home game?
I'm pretty confident he is.
That would be great. But and you know what? It probably would be in his best interest to not. Because he's not in shape. Come on, man. No way. He's not ready.
He's not going to get in shape just sitting there.
Yeah, well, who's the next opponent after that? That doesn't have
Boston.
One of the. I would rather him go out there against Boston, even though the Nuggets are beatable. Just lost a pretty good game last night to the Knicks. We're going to talk a lot about the Knicks coming up here in just a minute. But the thing I would say is that you're going to get a hungry Joker. He's going to raise his game up because of what just took place last night. And, oh, by the way, facing Embiid. All eyes on that matchup, as always. We'll see, man. Like I've been poisoned this year, and I'm the negative Nancy. I get it, but it's just year in, year out, same song and dance, and it gutted me. So here we are. They can continue to win. I hope they do. I'm pulling for this team. I love Tyrese Maxey. Let's focus on him here.
117-104. Sixers have won their 4th game in a row.